There's an article in the Wall Street Journal that just ran. The headline is "The Tactics Elon Musk Uses to Manage His Legion of Babies and Their Mothers." Now, you think the headline is creepy, right? You're like,
story's creepier.
This setup is creepy. The story is fucking creepier. And I'm just going to say, it starts with talking about Ashley St. Clair, the influencer, the conservative influencer who is trying to get Elon to pay more child support for a child that she says is his and he says isn't his. But it now appears that there's a lot of evidence that they have had conversations that indicate that the baby is his. He had been making payments to her. Anyway, it goes from there into a journey into like Elon Musk's extremely strange birther breeding kink. I get the impression he's not having sex with these women because the way that the article presents it is that he's giving them
It seems like
sperm.
maybe just a few of them.
Yeah, but he's not out here like fucking like Wilt Chamberlain. You know what I mean?
He's having scientific.
He's like
interactions.
He is having vials distributed.
Yeah,
you know, like he
actual vials,
which is like he's having people impregnated in like a clinical setting because he wants to have more children.
A legion
of children. I just have to read a portion of this article because it is one of the craziest things. In Musk's dark view of the world, civilization is under threat because of a declining population. He's driven to correct the historic moment by helping seed the earth with more human beings of high intelligence, according to people familiar with the matter. His businesses are set up to serve the idea. The main objective of SpaceX is to build a rocket ship capable of getting to Mars, and his other companies, including electric car maker Tesla, help finance the plan. Musk refers to his offspring as a legion, a reference to the ancient military units that could contain thousands of soldiers and were key to extending the reach of the Roman Empire. During St. Clair's pregnancy, Musk suggested that they bring in other women to have even more of their children faster. Quote, "To reach legion level before the apocalypse," he said to St. Clair in a text message viewed by the Wall Street Journal, "we need to use surrogates. To reach legion level before the apocalypse, we need to use surrogates." This man is fucking crazy.
Well, the part of the story that
crazy.
I actually thought was, I don't know if it was gross or crazy or all of the above, was when it goes into the Tiffany Fong story, where she was just kind of this conservative-ish like influencer on X, and he like started like retweeting her and followed her, and she got all these followers because of it, and she started earning like $21,000 a week or over a 2-week period because of him. And then he like gets into her DMs and is like, "How about you have a baby?" And she was like, "I'm gonna just slink away into the darkness." And then he like unfollowed her and got everyone to unfollow her, and she lost all this money. And like he is in the DMs trying to make babies for his legion.
That's it. He is a true supervillain. He is an actual supervillain.
And here's also, Erin, how he is the most supervillain. If you actually did you ever watch the show Big Love on HBO years ago?
No.
Okay. So it is a story about polygamists and Bill Paxton, and the most criminal person that the FBI and everyone is trying to get literally is Elon Musk. Like everything that came out of this guy Roman's mouth is exactly what Elon Musk said. That like, we need to have the baby so that we can take over the world, and like we need to populate our spawn everywhere, and how he talks about women and like all the NDAs. I mean, it is.
I just gotta say there is something.
This is the person making all the cuts in our government.
He's a fucking insane person. Like he based on what I am reading in this Wall Street Journal article, if I read it about somebody named like Steve Parker, I would be like, Steve Parker's fucking nuts. Like, it's not just that I have a pre-existing prejudice of Elon Musk. Like, I already thought he was a little unhinged. He's crazy.
Erin, what about the part where he prefers and suggests, and I think pays women to have C-sections instead of vaginal birth, because he said that vaginal birth makes the brain smaller and they can't reach their full potential?
That is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard.
That's why I had to tee you up for it.
That is so fucking dumb. Have you ever seen a C-section?
Yeah, actually.
It is the craziest abdominal surgery that gets performed. They cut through 7 layers of fat and muscle,
Mhm.
And a lot of women I know that have had C-sections still cannot feel their scar or the tissue around their scar because, like, OBGYN's job is to just get in there and get the baby out and not necessarily, like, maintain a certain appearance or feeling. That's crazy. I also wanna say it is really funny to me that Elon is going around because this is so Elon to me, thinking he invented something that already existed
Oh, yeah.
and wasn't a good idea, right? So,
Totally.
like, what? Oh, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna breed people to be smart and amazing. You know what? Ever seen a Habsburg chin? First of all, breeding only a certain ilk of people together results in that. Secondly, uh, we already invented eugenics. About 120 years ago, here in America, we invented eugenics, the exact kind of eugenics that he's talking about, because he's talked about in conferences that he wants, we got to have smart kids, we got to have more babies, but then he has told people separately that he's concerned about, quote, third world countries having
Oh,
higher
yeah.
birth rates than the U.S. That is literally just eugenics. That is
Yep.
just eugenics, dude.
They're gonna take over.
We tried it. It went very poorly, both in the US and in Europe, famously. It went
Yikes.
very, very poorly in Europe.
Yeah.
And after that, we were like, you know what? We shouldn't do it anymore. Even though in the US, we still were sterilizing people that were like undesirables.
Right.
We still were forcing prisoners to not have children and anyway, it's a whole thing. But Google Buck v. Bell if you want to get really, really mad.
Oh,
'cause
yeah,
it's
Buck v. Bell.
it still hasn't been overturned. It's a Supreme Court case that allows us to sterilize people against their will in America that still hasn't been overturned. Roots in eugenics, it's a whole thing. The Nazis borrowed eugenics from us and they just kind of like took it to the next level.
As people often do.
So I guess in a way, maybe it's not eugenics, right? It's just Roman breeding.
Legions. Also, the best part of this whole article is that it was done by the Wall Street Journal.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like he must have pissed somebody off at
Big
the
time.
Wall Street Journal.
Because hard for the right wing to discredit this that much when it's their paper, one of their papers of choice.
Yeah, I also think it's
Rupert.
we saw a shout out to Vivian Wilson, one of Musk's older children,
Yep.
who is trans and who has just been absolutely dunking on her dad.
Killing it. So funny.
I gotta say, she's a great example of how you cannot control who your children become, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she is, I kind of am like, you know what? Gotta hand it to Elon. He did produce Vivian, who is very cool and funny, just not in the way
Everything he wishes he could be.
just not in a way that he probably hoped that she would be cool and funny, but she
Right.
is like really fucking cool and funny. Okay, so yes, we will put a link to that Wall Street Journal article in our show notes. It is just completely jaw-droppingly crazy, and
It's bonkers.
I didn't want it to get lost in all of the like
No.
constitutional crisis shuffle that's happening these last.
It deserved its moment.
It deserves its moment because like I feel like maybe in the future, 20, 30 years from now, maybe one of my daughters will be doing like a report for school or writing a paper on somebody, and she'll pull this up and she'll be like, "Is this real?" I'll be like, "Oh yes.
Cue up the episode.
Oh yes, our country was at one point being steered by a breeding kink megalomaniac who is trying to go to Mars to repopulate it with himself." Yes.
Wow.
That is true. Yeah, anyway, if you still have a Tesla and you're still driving a Tesla, you shouldn't be.